Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hi everyone. Okay, my name is Sarifah Nurhanum Sahuri. I'm from Malaysia, specifically from Universiti Sains Malaysia. So today I'm going to present. I think it will be a quick presentation. It must be very fast. Okay, no problem. Okay, so the topic is exploring gifted and talented students' perception of Muslim scientists as a role model in STEM education. Okay, let me introduce my university. So one of the uniqueness of USIM or USIN, okay, almost close to USM name. The name here is almost close to USM. It's not a very big campus, but we have the main road is designed like a heart shape. So it's kind of like they stress on the importance of soul element in human being in anything they do. So the main road actually link all the faculties and office, and you can see this is the heart shape. Okay. So this is the abstract overview of the presentation. So I think we all know about the STEM education issues. Okay, the STEM education issues around the world has become a heat issue. So we can see that the supply of talent in the field is somewhat worrisome, and the phenomenon occurs almost in most of the countries around the world when the number of students pursuing STEM education at the tertiary level is declining. And also in Malaysia, we have a policy, 40-60 policy, which we highlight on the 40% student must go for social science and 60% student must go for the science education. However, it's not really happened in our country, and we never reached the 60% of students to go for the science education. And just now, a few days ago, 3 days ago, our minister at the Prime Minister Department said that the STEM issue is a big issue in our country, and the interest issues of STEM education among the students must be highlighted or must be concerned. Okay, some literature review about the motivation. We all know about the motivation. This is why we are here right now. Okay, so motivation have a big role in students' learning. So who are having a high motivation, we learn more and will do more. And even if they are struggling, they will never give up to learn something. Okay. On another part is about Muslim scientists, or actually recent studies in the last few years are focusing on the scientist story. One of the most popular article you can find from American Psychological Association. They have been published about the topic, or the title of the article is Even in Science Struggle. Okay, that study showed the significant result of the story roles, Muslim scientists' story towards STEM education among the secondary school students. Okay, but in this study, I will focus on Muslim scientists' story. We are focusing on investigating about the gifted and talented students' knowledge of Muslim scientists, and then to investigate gifted and talented student motivational factors towards STEM education, and lastly, to explore how they see Muslim scientists as a role model in developing their motivation towards STEM education. So this is the methodology you can see from the first one until the third presentation. We are discussing on the quantitative methods, and we heard about the case study from SIT. And this is my study. It is a qualitative multiple case study design. And then I have adapted a survey, or actually it's a test, draw a scientist test, DAST, which is widely used in the STEM education research. So we are adapting that test into a semi-structured interview protocol, and I have conducted a 30 to 60 minutes online interview session. And also the participant is 15 gifted and talented students, which involved with the National Gifted and Talented Education Program. but they have a different background because we have many schools that cater the gifted and talented students, and also we have a different participants that are not joining the program, but they have been screened by this, the test, the IQ test, and so on by their parents' initiative. So they have been classified as gifted and talented students. And we got consent from the schools, parents, and also the students, because it's quite sensitive issue, especially for gifted and talented students, and they are under age of 18 years old. So we need to ask the permission. And the analysis is focusing on high quality interview and transcript data, because when we have an online interview, of course, there are some technical issue, and we don't want to be biased, or we don't want to, have any validation issue on the data. So we choose high quality interview and transcript data, and we use thematic analysis. So this is the result, actually. We are discussing on this by using three research objectives that we have stated earlier. So number one, for gifted and talented students' knowledge of Muslim scientists, we have asked a few questions, and we found that they have mentioned a few names of favorite Muslim scientists that reflect their knowledge about the Muslim scientists. So a few names that I have mentioned is Omar Khayyam, Al-Khawarizmi, Al-Farabi, that we already know about them. And around us, they also seen there are some people must be recognized as a Muslim scientist. So they have mentioned that we are all is a scientist. Everyone is a scientist. One of the students said that everyone is a scientist, since we do anything like thinking process, solving a problem. So that's make us as a scientist. Some of them view their mother as a scientist. One of the case reflect her mother is a scientist because her mother did well in her PhD journey in a business field. And then some figures they have mentioned here, Zakir Naik. We already know about Zakir Naik. It's very famous da'i around the world. He stated that Zakir Naik is a scientist because the way he thinks and comparing the religious to explain to the people is not many people can do it. So it's look like he is a scientist. And one of the name that our participant mentioned is the late of Tuan Guru Haji Ibrahim Muhammad Dahan. This is from Malaysia. Our students say that he is a Malay scientist from Archipelago. Okay, so Tuan Guru Haji Ibrahim Muhammad Dahan actually is astronomers. Okay, studies about the falak and everything, and also he is a ulama in Malaysia. And lastly, we asked about being a scientist. Do they want to be a scientist? Yes, of course. So they say yes because they believe in their potential to be a scientist. Because gifted and talented students have a huge potential, and also they want to continue the excellent legacy of the Muslim scientists. Okay, besides of that, about the STEM education, since we have an issue on the interest and motivation, so we asked them, what do you see about your motivation to learn science, technical engineering, and mathematics education? So there are two factors, motivational factors, that we can divide into intrinsic and extrinsic factors. So intrinsic factors, why they want to learn STEM education is because their own interest in STEM subject, and then because of they have a big ambition in STEM field, and because they want to, what we call it, to show their curiosity, or to be curious on something in STEM education, and also because of their personal satisfaction in learning STEM. And the extrinsic factors highlighted here is because of the school environment. There are some students stated that the school environment is very supportive. They put the picture of scientists in their school, even in canteen. So the school environment give a lot of impact on their motivation. And then the parents and teacher encouragement, and also the reward and recognition, especially when they are joined the STEM contest. So when they got the reward, like a very big cash money, and also recognition at the national level, so it's kind of like give them a personal satisfaction. And lastly, the main point here is about how our students see Muslim scientists as a role model, and how it's developed their own motivation to study or towards STEM education. So there are 3 points here. Number one is how the students portray Muslim scientists as a role model. So we know and we have heard or we read a lot of stories about the successful Muslim scientists. So the successful story have a big impact on them. It's nurture their interest and motivation towards STEM education. Beside of them, the significant contribution of the Muslim scientists in STEM field is also encourage them to be like that, to be like them. And one of the factors is because the Muslim identity. Some of the participants is a Muslim students, so they view that we have a Muslim scientist that very successful. Why not we become like that? Okay, there's nothing impossible for them. And number two is how students learn about Muslim scientists. Actually, they got a lot of information from the reading, research, school activities, and also in the teaching and learning process in the classroom. Actually, the teachers have given them assignment that asking them to search more about the Muslim scientists, the contribution, and how it's worked with the STEM field. And of course, the family support that encourage them to learn STEM education. And lastly, their suggestion to promote Muslim scientists as a role model. They ask for early exposure of Muslim scientists in their education, and also include the Muslim scientist story in the STEM syllabus. And another one is inclusivity of STEM education. When they think that everyone can learn science or have a chance to learn STEM education, no one should be discriminated from that because of the result from the examination and so on. Okay. And lastly, the conclusion here. As we know from the study, we can see that there are lots of inputs here, and the story of these Muslim scientists should be highlighted through the documentation and also display biography on the reading materials of school students. And then we must provide exposure to the students beside of the past or previous Muslim scientists that have a very big gap in years like 1,000 years or 900 years before. Yeah, we must look at the current Muslim scientists, and I'm sure there are lots of figures out there. For example, in Malaysia, we have the first astronaut, Dr. Sheikh Muzaffar, that we can promote as our Muslim scientists. And lastly, we hope that by having this case in the education, the students can have encouragement to explore and arouse their interest earlier in the STEM education, which I think, inshallah, if it's work, the issues at the first or second slide that we highlighted about the declining workforce or people talented in STEM education can be overcome, inshallah. So I think that's all for today's presentation, quite fast. I hope that you can understand and get some message from it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarifah. Is there any question?
Very quick question.
Yes, yes.
For thematic analysis, what software did you use, or did you use it manually?
Okay, for thematic analysis, we are using SSTI software. Yeah. So actually, it's a prelim data. Okay, and then the next step is try to develop the thematic model so that we can see how the networks of the variables working. Yeah.
Awesome.
Inshallah.
Is there any other question?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, yes, please, Doctor.
So I don't know if you did not put it on the presentation or maybe I missed it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Among the 15 gifted students,
Yeah.
how many girls?
Okay, how many girls? Actually, we have more boys than girls. It's around 10 boys and 5 girls. For the egg data, we got like 3 girls and 5 boys.
3 girls and 5.
Yeah.
So because for the emulation effect or the roller model in entrepreneurship, because it's my field of research, the emulation is sensible for the gender, which means that women have to find role models who are women and men are following men. So in these stories of Muslim scientists, scientific identity or maybe personal, do you include women?
Okay, actually, when we are doing this research, it's kind of like a very open question to the participant. So I cannot say that what we call it. I should mention a few names there to avoid bias, but most of the names come out from the student. Even the girls respond is more on the the men.
It's not side men.
Yeah.
Not like women.
Women,
Yeah, not side women.
And last question,
Yes.
why Muslim scientific?
Okay.
Why not scientific on the whole world?
Yes, okay. So as we can see, actually Muslim scientists have been recognized for long years, and even people know about it. Actually, this is I can say this is a new study, which previously when we do a prelim data on the literature review and so on, we cannot find any article that focusing on Muslim scientists. And the current, or like I said, the previous studies is more focusing generally and mostly from the Western perspective. And the articles that have very impactful on the STEM education, like even your science struggle, which this article discussing on the three Western scientists, Mercury, Einstein, and another one, I forgot it. But yeah, this try to open the new paradigm for us to look how our Muslim scientists that I think it's not just for Muslim, but all people can learn something from that. And one thing that become a big gap in our study actually is because of the story of the Muslim scientists. Like Einstein living in around 1900 and above. But for Muslim scientists, we are kind of like very lucid. We don't have like very pure story about the struggle, the what we call it, the issues they experience, the challenges and everything. So that's become quite challenges for us. So this is prelim study to look at the perception first.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so
I think
much.
it's time to